Welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. Today we're taking a deep dive into Patriot Gold Group.
Helping you figure out if they might be a good fit for you in your retirement?
Exactly. Retirement investing, it can be a real jungle out there,
Oh, yeah.
especially when you start thinking about things like, gold IRAs.
It gets complicated.
Yeah. So we're here to break it all down. We're going to examine everything Patriot Gold Group has to offer. And hopefully, by the end, you'll have the knowledge you need to make a confident decision. And hey, speaking of making decisions, don't forget to grab our free checklist over at goldearablueprint.com/exclusive. It's full of tips to help you choose the right gold IRA company for you.
Yeah, if you're looking for a little bit of a roadmap through that jungle.
Yeah, perfect analogy.
Okay.
Okay, let's get started. So Patriot Gold Group, what exactly is it? I know they deal with gold, and I know they deal with retirement, but can you give us, their specialty?
Sure. They're all about helping you set up something called a precious metals IRA. Basically, you're holding a portion of your retirement savings not in those traditional stocks or bonds, but in actual physical gold or silver.
So instead of just, digits on a screen, I'd have, tangible assets.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah. And Patriot Gold Group, they really focus on making that whole process very smooth and accessible, especially for gold and silver IRAs. They're actually based in Seal Beach, California,
Yeah.
which, kind of gives them a more grounded, approachable feel.
Yeah. Right, than some big faceless financial giant.
Exactly.
That's good to know there are real people behind the company handling your money.
Yeah.
So to make all this happen, what specific services do they offer?
Well, they've got your, classic gold and silver IRAs.
Oh, yeah.
They also handle platinum and palladium IRAs.
Uh-huh.
Those are a little more specialized. And then, beyond that, they do self-directed IRAs, rollovers, and even secure storage for your precious metals.
Wow, so they really do cover the whole spectrum.
Yeah, they try to.
Of precious metal investments.
That's the idea.
Okay, cool. So let's dig into one of those. Let's say I'm really intrigued by gold IRAs.
Okay.
Why would someone choose that, as part of their retirement plan?
Well, I think one of the biggest reasons is protection against inflation. We always hear those stories. Back in my day, this cost a nickel, and things like that, right?
Right.
Well, over time, inflation just eats away at the purchasing power of our dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Gold, on the other hand, tends to hold its value pretty well.
So it's like protecting my savings from losing value as time goes by.
Yeah, that's the idea. By having a portion of your retirement in gold, you're potentially safeguarding that purchasing power.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's say I'm on board. I like this gold IRA idea.
Don't you?
So what's next? Does Patriot Gold Group, hand me a bag of gold coins? How does that work?
Well, not exactly. There are specific rules when it comes to gold and IRAs.
Wow.
So they only deal with what's called IRA eligible gold. So certain types of coins, bars, things like that meet those regulations.
Okay, so even treasure chests have rules.
That's right. And they guide you through that whole process.
Yep.
And they actually work with some, top-notch storage providers, Brinks Global, Delaware Depository, places like that.
Got it.
To make sure that your gold is really safe and sound.
So it's like my own Fort Knox for my retirement.
Something like that.
Okay, cool. You mentioned different types of IRA eligible gold. What are the distinctions there?
Sure. So you've got your bullion coins, which are things like American Eagles, Canadian Maple Leafs. And those are valued really for their gold content, right?
Right.
It's a very straightforward way to get into gold.
Simple, straightforward. I like it.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, you have something called numismatic coins, which are more like collectibles. They can be rare, historically significant. They're often graded for their authenticity and their condition. So it's not just about the gold value.
Yeah.
There can be other factors there.
Like a little artifact, a piece of history.
Exactly.
It's cool.
Yeah. So there's a lot to consider with gold IRAs. And we're just scratching the surface here.
We are just getting started. But before we go any further, I do want to remind everyone about our free checklist. You can find it at goldearablueprint.com/exclusive. It's a fantastic resource to help you navigate, all the complexities of choosing a gold IRA company.
Yeah. Especially after we've gone through all this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, back to Patriot Gold Group. What makes them stand out from other companies offering similar services?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is their focus on customer satisfaction. They consistently get really great reviews,
Okay.
which, says a lot about how they treat their clients and their dedication to the customer experience.
Happy customers are always a good sign. What else? What else sets them apart?
Well, they practice something called direct dealing, which means they cut out the middleman when it comes to buying and selling precious metals.
Yeah.
which for you can translate into, lower costs and more transparency.
So I'm getting the best possible price without any funny business going on.
Yeah, that's the idea.
I like that. Okay, what other advantages do they offer?
Well, they really believe in transparency, no hidden fees, no surprises.
Mhm.
They also offer what they call personalized asset management, where they really tailor a plan to your specific retirement goals and your risk tolerance.
That's really important because, retirement planning, it can be so overwhelming.
It is.
So having that personalized guidance is a huge relief.
Absolutely.
Okay, so they've got the personalized service. What about their expertise? Do they have a solid track record?
Oh, yeah. They've got extensive industry experience and they really understand the precious metals market.
Okay.
And beyond that, they offer a ton of educational resources, investment guides, all sorts of things to help you make informed decisions.
It sounds like they're really invested in helping their clients succeed.
They try to be.
Okay. But let's get real for a second. No investment is without risk, right?
Of course.
So what are some potential downsides, some concerns someone might have when considering Patriot Gold Group?
Well, you always have to remember, just like any market, the precious metals market can be volatile.
Okay.
Prices go up, prices go down. There's no guarantee that your investment is always going to be increasing in value.
So it's not like a quick path to riches.
No.
Okay, good to know. Are there any other risks we should be aware of?
Well, this isn't specific to Patriot Gold Group, but just something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
In any industry, you have the potential for fraudulent companies.
Oh, right.
So it's always, always crucial to do your research. Choose a company with a proven track record like Patriot Gold Group. But yeah, just be a savvy investor.
So even in the world of gold, buyer beware still applies.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what are some red flags? If I'm shopping around, what should I be looking out for to avoid those, less than reputable companies?
Well, I think one of the biggest red flags is if a company is guaranteeing unrealistic returns.
Okay.
If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Cool.
You also want to look for a lack of transparency about their fees
Okay.
and be wary of any high-pressure sales tactics.
Got it. Good things to keep in mind. So let's say I've done my research.
All right.
I'm feeling good about Patriot Gold Group,
Okay.
and I'm ready to take the plunge. What are my next steps?
Well, the first step is easy. Reach out to one of their representatives.
Okay.
They're happy to answer any questions you have, walk you through everything.
All right. And then after that initial contact, what happens next?
Well, they'll work with you to choose the investment option that really aligns with your goals and your risk tolerance.
Okay.
So they help you figure out, which type of IRA is right for you, which precious metals.
Got it.
And then once you've kind of got that strategy down, there's some paperwork to set up your account.
Sounds official.
It is. It's important.
Okay. And then after all the paperwork's done,
Well, then it's time to fund your account. So that's where you would transfer funds from an existing retirement account, or maybe you make a new contribution.
okay. So this is where it becomes real.
Yes.
I'm actually putting my money where my mouth is.
That's right.
Okay. And then after that, what happens then?
Well, then you monitor your investment and, make adjustments over time as needed.
Okay.
Because remember, the precious metals market's dynamic. Your needs might change.
Right.
It's an ongoing process.
It's not just set it and forget it.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So I need to stay engaged and make sure my investments are still on track with my goals.
That's right.
Okay. That makes sense. But the good news is it sounds like I'll have expert help from Patriot Gold Group along the way.
Exactly. They're there to provide that support and guidance.
Fantastic. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground already in this first part of our deep dive into Patriot Gold Group. Before we move on, I want to remind everybody one more time about our free checklist over at golderablueprint.com/exclusive. It's really packed with some great tips and questions to ask any potential gold IRA company. Incredibly valuable resource, especially after we've just gone through all the details about Patriot Gold Group.
Yeah, it's a great way to kind of compare and contrast.
Exactly. Okay. Let's shift gears just a little bit and let's talk more about the benefits specifically of Patriot Gold Group's approach. You mentioned personalized service before. Can you give me some concrete examples of how that works in practice?
Sure. Well, I think one great example is their initial consultation process.
Okay.
They don't just give you some generic pitch. They actually take the time to understand your financial situation, your retirement goals, your risk tolerance, everything that makes you unique.
So it's like a custom-tailored suit for my retirement plan.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Okay, cool. So what are some other ways that they personalize their services?
Well, they also offer ongoing portfolio reviews and adjustments. So they
Hmm,
don't just set you up with a gold IRA and say, see you later. They check in with you.
gotcha.
They monitor market conditions, make sure your investments are still on track.
It's like having a personal trainer for your finances, keeping you in shape for retirement.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Okay, so that level of personalized attention is definitely valuable,
Oh, yeah,
especially with something as important as retirement savings.
absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about another key aspect you mentioned, transparency.
Okay.
What steps do they take to ensure their pricing and fees are crystal clear?
Well, one thing they do is they provide a detailed fee schedule upfront.
Okay,
You know exactly what you're paying for before you even sign up.
got it.
No hidden costs, no surprises down the road.
That's a big deal. It's
Yep.
so frustrating to get hit with those unexpected fees later on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the representatives are also thoroughly trained to answer any questions you have
Okay.
about those fees, pricing, anything like that.
So I don't have to decipher any confusing fine print on my own.
Exactly. They want to make sure you feel comfortable and confident throughout the entire process.
Okay, that level of transparency is definitely reassuring.
Good.
All right. So experience and expertise in the precious metals market,
Mm-hmm.
what makes them stand out in that regard?
Well, I think for starters, they have a really long history in the industry. They've been helping people invest in precious metals for decades.
Wow.
So they've seen it all. Market ups and downs, economic recessions, you name it.
They've weathered the storms.
They have. And they've consistently helped their clients protect their wealth and achieve their goals.
That's impressive. Okay. What else sets them apart in terms of expertise?
Well, their team, it's full of highly qualified professionals.
Okay.
Financial advisors, precious metal specialists, tax experts, you name it.
So they've got all the bases covered.
They try to.
Okay. Sounds like a one-stop shop for precious metals and retirement planning.
That's what they aim for. And, really, their goal is to make the entire process as seamless and stress-free for their clients as possible.
That's fantastic. Definitely takes a lot of the guesswork and anxiety out of it.
Exactly.
Okay. So we talked about gold IRAs in detail.
Hmm.
They also offer silver IRAs, platinum IRAs, and palladium IRAs.
That's right.
What are the key differences between those? Like, why would someone choose one over the other?
Well, each precious metal kind of has its own personality, its own investment potential.
Okay.
Let's start with silver. Silver is often called the poor man's gold because, it's more affordable,
Right.
but it still offers a lot of the same benefits as gold.
Okay.
The hedge against inflation, safe haven during times of uncertainty.
It's a more accessible way to get into the precious metals game.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And silver also has all sorts of industrial uses, which is interesting. Its price can be driven by technology, manufacturing.
So it's kind of like a double whammy. It's a safe haven asset and an industrial commodity.
Exactly.
Okay, interesting. All right. What about platinum and palladium?
Well, those are a little more specialized, and they tend to appeal to investors who are looking for more, niche opportunities.
Okay, so what makes them unique?
Well, platinum and palladium, they're rarer than gold and silver.
Rarity. Okay, I like that.
And they also have a ton of industrial applications, especially in the automotive industry, technology
So they're
sectors.
like the high-tech cousins of gold and silver.
Yeah, I like that. And their prices, they can be affected by things like, global car sales, emissions regulations, demand for things like smartphones,
Oh,
all sorts of
so they're a
things.
bit more maybe volatile than gold and silver.
Potentially, yeah. But of course, with higher risk can come higher reward.
Okay. So it sounds like there's a precious metal for every type of investor.
There is. And Patriot Gold Group can help you figure out, which one's right for you.
Okay, that's great to know. So we talked about the main precious metals IRAs, gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. What about those other services they mentioned, like the rollovers and self-directed IRAs? What are those all about?
Sure. So a rollover is basically transferring money from, an existing retirement account like a 401k or a traditional IRA
Yeah.
into a precious metals IRA. It's a way to diversify your savings,
Right.
potentially protect them from market fluctuations.
So it's like moving my nest egg to a safer, more secure location.
Yeah, you could think of it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about those self-directed IRAs?
So a self-directed IRA gives you a lot more control over your investments. So instead of being limited to just, whatever your traditional IRA provider offers, you can choose from a wider range of assets,
Oh,
including, of course, precious metals.
Gotcha. So it's like I have the freedom to customize my retirement portfolio a bit more.
Exactly.
All right, cool. So it sounds like they really do offer a comprehensive set of services to meet a lot of different retirement planning needs.
That's the goal. They believe in empowering their clients, helping them create a retirement plan that aligns with their goals and values.
Okay. So it's not just about pushing products.
Right.
It's about building relationships and empowering their clients.
Exactly.
All right. Well, speaking of being an active participant, have you downloaded our free checklist yet? You can find it at golderablueprint.com/exclusive. It is full of tips and questions to ask when you're evaluating any potential gold IRA company.
It's a must-have, honestly, for anybody who's serious about this.
Okay, excellent. Let's talk about reputation and track record.
All right.
What can you tell us about Patriot Gold Group in that regard?
That's a great question. And, honestly, it's a question every investor should be asking.
Right.
Because ultimately, you're trusting these companies with your money, right?
Yeah.
So you want to know they're trustworthy and that they have a good track record.
Absolutely. So let's dig in. What's their reputation like?
Well, I think a good place to start is always online reviews and ratings.
Mhm.
It's a good indicator of how a company treats its customers.
For sure.
And when you look at Patriot Gold Group, they consistently get really positive feedback. Customers praise their customer service, their transparency, their expertise, all those things we've been talking about.
So it's not just hype. They actually walk the walk.
They do, yeah. And that's not something that happens overnight.
Right.
That takes years of effort and a real dedication to keeping your customers happy.
Okay, that's impressive. What else can you tell us about their track record?
Well, beyond the reviews, they've also received humorous industry awards and accolades,
Yeah.
for customer service, ethical business practices, things like that. And that just further solidifies their reputation, as a leader in the precious metals IRA space.
Sounds like they're setting the gold standard, so to speak,
I like that.
for how a gold IRA company should operate.
Yeah. And that's really important to keep in mind when you're making this decision. You want a company that's proven, that's reputable, that's really committed to taking care of their clients.
Absolutely. You want somebody you can trust, someone who's going to be there for you through thick and thin, and who's going to help you achieve your retirement dreams.
Exactly.
Well said. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into Patriot Gold Group. We talked about services, benefits, approach to customer service, and their reputation. As we move on to the next part of our discussion, what are some key takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that Patriot Gold Group, they're a reputable, trustworthy company with a long history of helping people reach their retirement goals.
Right.
They offer a really comprehensive set of services, a personalized approach, and a real commitment to customer satisfaction.
They also really emphasize that transparency and education, which is so important.
Absolutely.
Empowering their clients to make those informed decisions.
Yeah. And that's really what sets them apart from a lot of other companies out there.
Great point. Well said.
Welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. Ready to keep diving into Patriot Gold Group.
Absolutely. Last time we talked a lot about what they do well. And honestly, it sounds like a pretty good deal.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot going for them.
But we also mentioned that no investment comes without risk.
Oh, definitely not.
So it's important to look at both sides of the coin before making any big decisions.
Absolutely.
So today, let's talk about those potential downsides, the concerns someone might have with Patriot Gold Group.
Okay.
What should we be aware of?
Well, I think one of the biggest things to remember, especially with precious metals, is that the value can fluctuate, just like any investment.
Right.
The market can be volatile,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no guarantee that gold or silver is always going to go up in value.
So it's not like a savings account
No, not at all.
where my money's just sitting there earning interest.
Right. There's inherent risk with any investment, and you could potentially lose money.
Okay.
That's why it's so important to think long term. Right.
And be prepared for those ups and downs.
Got it. So market volatility is definitely something to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other potential downsides or concerns we should address?
Well, another thing to consider is storage.
Okay.
When you're investing in physical gold or silver, you need a safe place to keep it.
Right. Makes sense.
And that often means using specialized storage facilities, which charge fees.
Ah, okay. So there are those ongoing costs.
Yeah, exactly.
On top of just buying the metals.
Right. And it's really important to factor that into your budget and your overall strategy.
Okay. Good to know. But, on the plus side, at least Patriot Gold Group is upfront about those fees.
They are. They work with really good storage providers and make sure you know what those costs are from the beginning.
That's good. Transparency is so important, especially when we're talking about money.
Absolutely. And speaking of transparency, let's talk about fees in general.
Patriot Gold Group is known for being upfront, but some people might still find the fees associated with setting up a gold IRA to be a bit higher than they expected.
It's fair. Fees can make a difference, especially over the long term.
They can. That's why it's so important to compare different gold IRA companies.
Right.
Really look at those fee structures. Don't just focus on the price of the metals themselves.
Right. It's the whole picture.
Exactly. You got to do your homework.
Well, that's what we're here for, right?
That's right.
To give people the knowledge they need
Absolutely.
to make smart financial decisions.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And speaking of smart decisions, remember that free checklist over at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive?
Oh, yeah.
That can be really helpful when you're comparing those companies and their fees.
It's like having a personal shopper,
Right.
but for retirement.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've talked about market volatility, storage costs, and fees.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Hmm.
Any other potential downsides we should be aware of?
Well, one more thing I'd mention is liquidity.
Liquidity.
Yeah, so liquidity is just how easily you can convert an asset into cash.
Got it.
And precious metals, especially if you're talking about physical gold and silver, they're not as liquid as, say, stocks or bonds.
Okay.
It might take a little longer to sell them if you need to get your money back quickly.
So it's not like I can just, go to the ATM and take out some cash.
Right. It's more of a long-term investment.
Okay. That makes sense.
So if you think you might need access to those funds in the short term, maybe a precious metals IRA isn't the best fit.
Right. But if you're playing the long game,
Right. For retirement.
then it's less of an issue.
Exactly.
Okay. So it's all about, matching your investment strategy with your goals
Exactly.
and how long you're planning to invest.
Absolutely. And that's another area where Patriot Gold Group can be helpful. They can really work with you to develop a plan that takes all of those things into account.
Okay, great. So we've talked about market volatility, storage fees, liquidity. Anything else? Any other concerns we should be aware of?
Well, one last thing I'd touch on is the potential for fraud in the industry.
Oh, right. We mentioned that before.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate, but, scams exist everywhere, right?
They do. And the precious metals market is not immune.
Right.
So it's really important to do your research.
Okay.
Choose a company with a solid reputation.
Like Patriot Gold Group.
Exactly.
But yeah, what are some things people can do to protect themselves to avoid those scams?
Well, I'd say first and foremost, research the company.
Okay.
Look for reviews. Check their rating with the Better Business Bureau.
Mm-hmm.
See if there are any news articles or legal actions against them.
Right. A little Google search can go a long way.
Absolutely. Transparency is also key. Choose a company that's really upfront about their fees and pricing.
Right.
Make sure you understand those costs before you sign anything.
No hidden fees.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask questions. A good company is going to be happy to answer any questions you have
Right.
about their services, their fees, their investment strategy. If they get evasive or pushy, that's a red flag.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
If your gut's telling you something's off, walk away.
Absolutely. And finally, the old adage, if it sounds too good to be true,
It probably is.
it probably is. So be wary of any company that's promising unrealistic returns or guaranteed profits.
No get-rich-quick scheme.
Exactly.
Got it. So it all comes back to being informed, doing your homework, and making smart choices.
Absolutely.
Okay, great advice. Don't forget, folks, our free checklist is available at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive.
Yeah, it can really help you navigate this whole world of precious metals and gold IRAs.
Exactly. Welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. So we've really dug deep into Patriot Gold Group.
We have covered their services, their pros, their cons, really trying to paint a full picture.
Exactly. But now, let's zoom out a little bit, talk about the bigger picture. Why should someone, anyone listening, consider adding precious metals to their retirement portfolio? Like, what's the point?
Well, it all comes down to one word: diversification.
Diversification.
Yeah.
We hear that word a lot in the investing world.
We do.
What does it really mean, especially when we're talking about retirement?
So imagine your retirement portfolio is like a basket of eggs.
Okay.
You wouldn't want to put all your eggs in one basket, right? Because if that basket drops, you're in trouble. Diversification means spreading your investments across different asset classes.
Okay.
So stocks, bonds, real estate, and yes, precious metals.
So adding precious metals is like adding another basket to my egg collection.
Exactly. It's about adding that extra layer of protection because, different assets react differently to what's happening in the economy.
Right.
So when stocks might be down, gold, for example, might hold its value or even go up.
So it's like a built-in shock absorber for my retirement savings.
Exactly. It helps you ride out those market storms.
Okay. We talked about inflation before, how it erodes the purchasing power of our money. How do precious metals play into that?
Well, gold especially has a long history of being a hedge against inflation.
Okay.
Throughout history, when prices go up, gold tends to hold its value, sometimes even increase,
Interesting.
because gold is a finite resource.
Right.
Its supply doesn't change as quickly as the supply of, paper money.
Right. Right.
So as the dollar weakens, gold often stays strong or gets stronger.
Okay. So it's like an anchor in a storm,
Exactly.
something that holds steady.
Yeah, and it helps protect your purchasing power over the long term.
That peace of mind is priceless, especially when you're thinking about retirement, when you might not have that steady paycheck coming in.
Right. It's about reducing that risk and creating a sense of security, knowing you're prepared no matter what happens.
Okay. So let's bring it back to Patriot Gold Group.
Yeah.
How do they fit into all of this? How do they help people, navigate the precious metals world and achieve these diversification goals?
Well, I think where Patriot Gold Group really shines is in guiding you through that whole process of setting up a precious metals IRA.
Okay.
And they do it in a very personalized way.
Right.
They take the time to understand your goals, your risk tolerance, your timeline, and then they build a strategy that really fits you.
So it's not just, hey, buy some gold. It's more about creating a whole plan.
It's the whole picture. And they handle all the details,
Right.
picking the right metals, the paperwork, setting up the storage. They do it all.
So it's like having a concierge service for my retirement savings.
Yeah, exactly. It takes all the stress off your plate. And that's really their commitment to customer service.
Right. Yeah.
They want to make it easy. They want to make it smooth. They want to provide that support.
It's like they're taking away the fear and uncertainty of investing in precious metals, especially for someone who's new to it all.
That's the idea.
Okay. And speaking of feeling confident, have you downloaded our free checklist yet? You can find it over at goldiablueprint.com/exclusive. It's really a great resource to help you evaluate any gold IRA company you're considering.
Don't miss out on that.
Okay. So let's wrap up our deep dive on Patriot Gold Group. What are some of the things that really make them stand out?
Okay. Well, I think first and foremost, their track record. They've been doing this for a long time, and they have a history of helping people succeed.
Experience matters, especially with something like this.
Absolutely. And their customer service is really top-notch.
Right.
They really go above and beyond to make sure their clients feel valued and supported.
That personal touch makes a big difference.
It does. And they're also very committed to transparency and education.
Yeah.
They're upfront about fees. They make sure you understand everything.
We'll get in surprises.
Exactly. And they offer a really wide range of investment options.
Right.
So they can create a plan that works for pretty much anyone.
Okay, so it sounds like they really do cover all the bases.
They try to.
All right, well, this has been a fantastic deep dive into Patriot Gold Group.
It has been.
I feel like I've learned so much about them, about precious metals, and about making sure my retirement is secure.
I'm glad to hear that. And remember, knowledge is power.
Right.
So the more you know, the better decisions you can make.
Absolutely. And don't forget, everyone, our free checklist is waiting for you over at goldiablueprint.com/exclusive. It's a must-have for anyone thinking about adding precious metals to their retirement plan.
It'll make your life so much easier.
Okay, great. Well, that's it for our deep dive into Patriot Gold Group.
Thanks for joining us.
We hope you found it helpful, and we'll see you next time on the Gold IRA Blueprint